In your soul, there have been times in your life, I know, when you've had something that you wanted so much. Maybe you wanted something for someone you care about. Maybe you wanted something for yourself, but you became so obsessed with something, achieving and experiencing, whether it was a transformation, in yourself, a change in your business, making a certain amount of money, getting a job, increase at some position. Somewhere in your life, you've gotten obsessed enough to really want to create something that you may not even know how you were going to do it. But you just wanted it, desired it, that you started all of a sudden taking action and you got insights. And before you knew it, what used to be just this impossible dream became a reality. Is it fair to say that at some stage in your life that there are some things today in your life that were once just a dream or a goal, that once seemed difficult or impossible, whether it be the job you have or the relationship you're in and might be taking for granted? Well, then you and I are creators. And very often when we get overwhelmed by so many things that we feel out of control by, we start getting into being managers of our life, managing our pain, managing through the situation. You've got to allow yourself to be able to take advantage of uncertainty. You have to work on change. Change is automatic. Progress is not. Progress comes when you tell yourself the truth and you're able to feel the uncertainty and take action anyway. The thing that stops us all is fear. It's no surprise. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, fear of not looking good. And that fear we could translate into the simple thing of uncertainty. Someone who's incredibly successful, someone who's truly a leader in their life or in their field. The one thing they have in common is they exude this sense of certainty. Great leaders know how to step in the uncertainty and bring the certainty to the situation.
I think that's why Paul said you've got to learn how to walk by faith and not by sight. That once you begin to trust yourself and your ideas and your instincts, life takes on a whole new meaning, because now I want you to do that feeling that you are led. Just feel, I am led. Ladies and gentlemen, don't give your power away. You don't need anybody to approve your dream. It was given to you. If they can't see it, it's because it wasn't given to them. It was given to you. Hold it, nourish it, cultivate it, work on it. It's yours. It's your baby. Work on it until it comes into fruition. I gave away my power and I said, I'm not going to do that no more.
No limit people are human beings who take what they are and accept it, and don't tell themselves that somehow they're deficient because of anything about themselves. This is a very crucial concept for me and for virtually all of us. It's this idea of taking your life in your own hands and being the kind of person that you choose to be, and understanding that everything that comes your way is an opportunity, is a blessing. And it wasn't until I learned how to celebrate virtually everything that came my way that I was able to transcend it. Everything else that you have on our planet, that we have on our planet, comes about as a result of thinking. Thought makes it so. All right? Everything that you see that wasn't given to us was created by man as a result of the way that we think, So what gets inside of us as a cell comes about as a result of the way that we choose to think in our lives. Very important principle to understand, because once you get a hold of thinking and that it creates everything that you have in your life, you can change and make it as absolutely perfect as you want it to be, because thought makes it so.
When you make decisions about what to focus on and what things mean and what to do, and you're unconscious, you get pretty terrible results usually. Now, we've all done this. I do it still. We all do. But if you want to change your results, you got to become more conscious in your decision making. So think about it. What you focus on, you will feel. Whether it's true or not. You focus on how people don't care, you're going to feel they don't care. Second decision you make is, what do things mean? So you focus on something someone does and you come up with a meaning, and the meaning is, no one loves me. The meaning is, they're trying to take advantage of me. Depending on what meaning you come up with, and you get to choose the meaning of anything. For some people, they say this situation happened with the economy, and what that means is I'm going broke. Somebody else said the situation happened with the economy. Guess what? That means I'm going to work harder. I'm going to be more creative. It changed everything. Everybody else is going to quit, so we're going to dominate the marketplace. For people to do it. Is this the...
Now you're here right now. You got it and you handled that fear. You kicked it out of there. All right? Remember that play Color Purple? I remember when Albert told the girl she couldn't go with Sure. He said, where you going? You know, this girl been wanting all her life live her dream. But she was afraid. She felt incompetent and he had beaten her down and her self-esteem had eroded. He said, where you going? You can't talk, Sure can talk. You ugly, you dumb, Sure got class, you ain't got nothing. Where you going? You ain't gonna make it, you're gonna fail. She said, look here, I might be ugly, I might be dumb, I might can't talk. She said, but I'm still here. I'm still here. And so as you begin to look at the fears in back of you, you came through those fears and you're still here. See, that's a testament about how powerful you are. And so whatever the volcano is, you have the capacity to take that volcano on, the capacity to jump in it and find your true identity. Here's another thing that keeps a lot of people from taking on the volcanoes and jumping into the challenges that they're confronted with. The fear of making mistakes or not feeling good enough. Guess what? You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. Guy said this and it's true. He said the person who has never made a mistake hasn't done anything. You're going to make some mistakes if you want to do something out here. You're going to fall flat on your face. You're going to be criticized when you come out into the arena called life. You're going to feel awkward and stupid and dumb sometimes. It goes with the territory. But it's okay. What's important is that you bring your stuff out here. Are you good enough? Prepare yourself. See, there's no substitute for competency. A positive attitude won't get it. Being enthusiastic won't get it. So you got to prepare yourself. You've got to develop yourself. You've got to practice. You've got to work. You've got to do your homework. You've got to do your research. See, a lot of people have a yes, I can attitude, but a no, I can't aptitude. And competency builds confidence. And confidence feeds into competency. See, the better you become, the more confident you feel. And the more confident you feel, the better you want to become. You realize that you have no ceiling. That you can better whatever you've done so far. You can go beyond that. You don't become cocky and arrogant, feeling that you've already arrived, as most people have. And that's why they've settled for less than what they rightly deserve in life. Because they feel they've arrived and they say, well, I can rest now. I can rest on my laurels now. I've made it.
Stop doing the things that you know are wrong that you could stop doing. Right? So it's a fairly limited attempt. First of all, we're not going to say that you know what the good is or what the truth is in any ultimate sense. But we will presume that there are things that you're doing that for one reason or another you know are not in your best interests. There's something about them that you just know you should stop. They're kind of self-evident to you. Other things you're going to be doubtful about. You're not going to know which way is up and which way is down. But there are things that you're doing that you know you shouldn't do. Now, some of those you won't stop doing for whatever reason. You don't have the discipline, or maybe there's a secondary payoff, or you don't believe it's necessary, or it's too much of a sacrifice, or you're angry or resentful or afraid. Who knows? So forget about those for now. But there's another subset that you could stop doing. It might be a little thing. Well, that's fine. Stop doing it and see what happens. And what'll happen is your vision will clear a little bit. And then something else will pop up in your field of apprehension that you will also know you should stop doing, and that you could stop doing, because you've strengthened yourself a bit by stopping doing the particular stupid thing that you were doing before. That just puts you together a little bit more. And you could do that repeatedly for an indefinite period of time. And you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to ever be able to formulate a clear and final picture of what constitutes the truth and the good. But it does mean that you'll be able to continually move away from what's untruth and what's bad. And, you know, that's not a bad start.
First, you'll have to start paying attention to your actions. Ask yourself, is what I'm doing going to lead me to where I want to be in life? You find yourself constantly bored, daydreaming about the future or past, or counting down the minutes until the day ends. It's probably because you feel disconnected from what you're doing. Cherish your time. Try to spend your free time doing things that you enjoy doing, rather than wasting time. For example, rather than spending your weekends watching television, spend them partaking in your hobbies or spending time with loved ones and new friends. Measure your productivity by engagement, not achievement. Not everything you do has to be productive in the conventional sense, but activities should be engaging and meaningful. Keep in mind that it is perfectly fine to spend some time doing nothing and just being lazy each day. This can actually help with your imagination and self-awareness. Strive for a balance between doing things you want to do and allowing yourself to just be.
Being sorry comes and goes, but every day doesn't have to be a sorry story about you.
That you eat and sleep that, and that you do that, so you've got to work on it.
The reason that people adjust the goal, the reason that they move it closer, the reason that they lower the bar and make it easier is because they're afraid.
The difference is not your ability. What we do at any moment in time, in that moment, is based on the state that our mind and body is in at that moment in time.
I'm sorry I'm late today. I'm sorry I broke your heart. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry I didn't do this. I'm sorry I didn't do that. When are you gonna come back to the reality and just do what is necessary to carry on? Do better. Do better within yourself. Being better, it's a process in all itself. But sorry just won't cut it. Stop pretending and start doing. Because no one owes you anything. This is a reality check.
Has anybody ever seen something for you that you didn't see it for yourself? I didn't see that for myself. Maybe that's why my favorite book says, eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has entered the heart of mankind what God has in store for you. Because of what he saw in me, he inspired me. He gave me a vision of myself beyond my circumstances, beyond my mental conditioning, and beyond the job where I was, because I thought I was just a disc jockey. I love that. I'm master of microphone. You drop me in any city, I can master a microphone. I can turn a city upside down with a microphone. But I had more in me than I was expressing, and I did not know it. And because of this encouragement, I became a community activist. Because of this encouragement, I started doing a talk show called Voice of the People. Because of this encouragement, when I got out of radio, I ran for the Ohio legislature, and I was elected.
Stop making sorry your master. Stop making sorry your place of business. Sorry? What you sorry for? Are you sorry that you woke up this morning? Are you sorry that you didn't make the cut? Are you sorry you just didn't have what it took? Stop being sorry and start doing better. Better within you. Better than anyone has ever seen. Better than your mistakes. Better than your failures. Better than those that doubted you. Sorry? You're not sorry. You just need to do better. Better is what you should be seeking, not sorry.
And because of his encouragement, I passed 14 bills my first term. Because of his encouragement, I was elected 3 times and became the chairman of the Human Resource Committee. Because of his encouragement, I became a public speaker Because of his encouragement, I became an author. Because of his encouragement, I did a show for King World called The Les Brown Show, and they paid me $5 million, $2 million not to speak. Because of his encouragement, I produced specials for PBS, public television. They said, you couldn't do that. You don't have a college education. It's educational television. Because of his encouragement, I did so many things I had absolutely no idea that I could do. I encourage you to live full and to die empty. There's more in you right now than just working on a job where they pay you just enough to keep you from quitting and you work just hard enough to keep from getting fired. And when you make the decision and identify that key area of your life that you need to make a radical change, things will begin to open up for you.
In other words, what people can do is absolutely incredible. What they will do is usually disappointing. And the difference is not their capability, but rather what state are they in right now. If every time they think about public speaking, they associate fear or pain, that's going to change their state. And all of a sudden they're going to feel tight in their body, and their whole emotional state will change, and they're not going to get the most out of themselves. But if whenever they think of public speaking, they think of absolute pleasure, they're going to be in a great state of mind, and they're going to get more out of themselves. I mean, think about it. When you're feeling really frustrated, do you behave the same way as when you're feeling like you're on a roll and things are flowing? Obviously not. You have the same ability, but things act and behave differently coming out of you. You speak differently, you communicate differently, everything changes.
They're afraid of what it says about them. They're afraid that they're not going to be able to accomplish it. They're afraid to tell people what they're up to. They're afraid to even dream big because they don't know if they're going to make it. They don't know if they have inside what it's going to take to persevere. But I'm telling you right now, if as a process step, you simply change it so that when something proves itself to be impossible, you don't ask, how do I change it to something that is possible? Instead, you find another way around. You find a way to believe that there is always a path to making the impossible possible, that you understand that as you grow and get better and become capable of more, that you can overcome things that were impossible yesterday. And that, my friends, is the key to accomplishment.
I'll give you another example. Have you ever forgotten something simple like your own home telephone number or address or how to spell the word the? Ever had one of those enlightening experiences? Now, you know how to spell the word the. How come you couldn't remember? The answer is because you're in what I call a stupid state, right? You were in a state of mind where your brain wasn't able to get a hold of the answers. The answers are there, but you couldn't get there. So I believe one of the most important things, probably the most important thing that you and I can do in our lives to create the power and joy and passion that we really want is to learn to manage our own states of mind. In fact, think of the cost of not managing them. If you don't manage your emotional state, it'll cost you virtually everything you want in your life. Friends, family, success, and just the joy that every one of us wants to experience on a daily basis. Hey, let me ask you a question. Is what happens in your life the thing that determines how you feel at any moment in time? Yes or no? In other words, it doesn't matter whether or not, for example, the economy is doing really strong as to whether or not you feel good.
To understand the only difference between the possible and the impossible is your set of skills, a belief in yourself, a belief that you can get good at anything that you set your mind to. So make that the pillar upon which all of your identity stands, that when times get hard, you go harder.
As Ernest Hemingway noted, the world breaks everyone, and afterward, many are stronger in the broken places. But my question is, why isn't everyone? To me, it comes down to the strategies that you use. There really isn't anything objectively good or bad. There isn't anything that happens to you that can't be overcome. There isn't anything that could happen to you. Anything.
Most people say no. Some people say, well, you bet. No, does it matter how your relationships are going? Does that determine how you feel? Is how you feel determined by the weather? By how much sun or rain there is? Is it determined by how other people treat you? I'm here to tell you the answer to that is no. I'm not saying that it doesn't complement or support you feeling one way or another. I'm saying how you feel at any moment in time is purely designed and the result of how you are directing your own mind and body at that moment. What I'm saying to you is no matter what is happening in your life, you are in control of your own states. And once you understand that, number one, and number two, you use that ability, you now have control over your life at a whole new level, and you have more fun and joy and passion than you ever dreamed of once you take that responsibility and take that control. Now, for some people, when they say, well, that seems like a heavy responsibility, well, look at the opposite. What's the price of not managing your states?
Whatever threatens you, threaten it back. Whatever threatens your opportunity, threaten it back. Now, some of our enemies are on the outside, but here's the most important thing to understand. Some of our enemies are on the inside. Whatever threatens you, I'm asking you to threaten it back. Take care of your responsibility. Somebody wants to destroy your chances for a good future by their negative talk, negative thinking, putting it all down. I'm telling you, walk away if you have to. Walk away.
Listen at this. In this quick age where we want everything now, if we don't get it now, we quit. Give it some time. Give it some focus. Until you can clap for the seedling, you will never see the tree. Because you're so busy trying to compete with the trees that you haven't gone through the process of the acorn. We think about our lives in decades. I was from the 60s, but we plan our lives in days. Very few people have a plan for the next 10 years. You're in love with tomorrow, but you're neglecting today. But until you learn how to appreciate where you are in the process, you won't get the power to evolve to your ultimate destiny. So you need to take your eye off of the tree and water what you got now.
When you want something out of life, don't worry about how you're going to get it. The most difficult thing it is to hold the vision. You want to be persistent about what it is that you want to achieve.
Promising yourself you will never give up. I ask the kids, how long should a baby try to learn how to walk? How long would you give your average baby?
How many times will your baby attempt to walk and fall and you just say, just sit down, don't try anymore. You've fallen 20 times.
Any mother in the world would say, you're crazy. My baby is going to keep trying what? Until. What a magic word. Until.
Don't get caught up in, well, I've tried it 5 times and things didn't work out. If there's something that you want and you're hungry for it, you've got to do whatever is necessary until. And don't give up on yourself. Many people give up on the 1-yard line. Oh, no. See, life is not just that simple. And that's why most people never realize their personal greatness. They're casual about life. And when you are casual about life, you will end up a casualty.
And you should understand this, that it was always going to be your family and your friends that would be the first ones to try and talk you out of your vision and your big idea. That's why you're supposed to live your life, focus on your intentions, and do your thing.
Knowing who you are, that will determine how you behave. When you know who you are, accept who you are, then that's going to determine what you do. When you allow your behavior to confuse your identity, then that's called an identity crisis. And the way that happens is you allow your behavior to determine who you are, and your behavior should not determine who you are. You cannot continue to look at what you do and conclude that what you do defines who you are.
Look back over 10 years in your life. What happened? And what have you learned from it? If you don't learn from what you lost, you have no profit. Why would you have that much pain and no profit? I want this year to propel me into my destiny. If it's just but one step, I want to make one step closer so that when I get to the next 10 years, I am ready for that stage of my life.
This will be a transformative year. It is not the movement of the clock that produces the newness of life.
It is the movement in your mind. God is about to transform your thinking, your mindset. Don't let the habits of my past stop me from this metamorphosis. What separates us is transformation. The passion to get up off the ground and stop eating dirt. This is my time.
In other words, there were behaviors and thoughts you've had in the past that were needed to produce the results you currently have. But you need to stop what's no longer needed. So ask yourself that question. What do I need to drop that's no longer needed? Is it a behavior? Is it a person? One of those things you probably are carrying with you from the past, but that thought, that behavior, that person is no longer needed for you to go to the next level of your identity, the next level of yourself. If you're stuck in a story. Right now, if you say, Ed, I'm kind of stuck where I am. Well, what you need to do is you need to alter your associations. You need to do something in a short window of time and evaluate the story you're telling yourself. Maybe it's a story about your past, a story about your parents, a story about a success you used to have. You keep talking about that doesn't serve you to get to the next level. Every second you spend in that old story about what you've achieved, some business you had, every time you live in that story, you're stripping time and focus from the new story. What's the old story you keep repeating? Maybe it's not a success. Maybe it's a failure that you've had. You can't take that old story into the new identity. What's your new story? Who are you now? See, here's what's amazing. At any point in your life, you can just decide to write a new script. And guess what? You and God control the script. Listen to me. At any time you want, you can simply decide to be a new character. Stop telling the old story. Here's the truth. Nobody cares. And that old character you keep playing is the very thing that will prevent you from becoming this new version of you. Just awareness of the power of identity puts you in the 0.1% of all the people on the spinning earth right now.
Becoming is not about arrival, it's about the journey. We're committing to the journey. We're committing to the process. In fact, you won't get there until you die.
There are moments that try the human soul so violently that if the truth were told, all of us have had moments that we wanted to throw up our hands and walk away.
Because I believe that, what that tells me is that while I'm becoming, I'm gonna face problems. Did you know it's totally possible to be struggling and becoming at the same time? Some of you in this room, you're struggling. But just because you're struggling hasn't stopped you from becoming. Our problems do not overshadow our purpose. Our weaknesses do not discount our work, and our deficiencies definitely do not delay our destiny. We have to learn how to work our weakness. Someone say, work your weakness.
Always something there to build a case on why you can't move on, why you can't grow to the next level, why you can't begin to manifest your greatness. Always something there to block you, to keep you where you are, and keep you from beginning to develop your true greatness. How do we handle it? If you've been using the fact that you don't have enough money or you don't have the education, take it head on. Go get the education.
These are philosophical statements, but they are very important. Leadership begins with your belief, and your belief system determines your philosophy of life.
Build your self-confidence, and the greater and greater your self-confidence get, it minimizes the impact self-doubt has on us. You weren't born doubting. You weren't born discouraged. You weren't born thinking negative things about yourself. As hard as this is to accept, these are not your thoughts. Those were thoughts that were placed in you and given to you by an external source at some time in your life. It could even be our parents. Maybe it was criticism you received as a little one that you may not even remember to this day.
That I've decided a long time ago that I didn't want to be another man who lived and died and didn't do anything significant. There's so many of y'all that are running around that are connecting whatever your concept of what life and love and happiness is to this thing that doesn't exist. And so in your mind, you're not living until you get to that.
I know when you keep toxic things in your life, you're going to feel toxic. And some of us are wondering why we don't feel great. The longer you keep toxic things in your life, the longer you keep negativity in your life. I'm a firm believer in giving multiple chances. But after a while, you have to realize sometimes it's what you're choosing to accept, right? You know what it is. Some of us, we're so blind to what we want it to be that we keep seeing something for what it's not. We keep seeing a person for who they don't want to become.
I don't care what they done said to you. I don't care what the verdict is. I don't care what the haters say. Prayer changed things. You need God. Don't you think I got here without him. I've needed him every step of the way. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't even be standing here today. I'm telling you right now, you need God. Quit being ashamed about it and worrying about who looking. Go somewhere by yourself today and tell God you need some help.
They doubt the whole world is going to make it. But I'm asking you not to pick up all those doubts. I'm asking you to have some faith, have some courage, believe, drive your doubts into a small corner. Don't doubt the future. Don't doubt the extraordinary gifts that your distributors bring to your organization. Don't doubt that. Don't doubt the possibilities. And here's the most important one of all. Don't doubt yourself.
So you've got to decide, wait. Even if things don't work out, even if I experience defeat or failure, that does not make me a failure. It's a difference between failing and being a failure. If things don't work out, if you don't produce the results you want, that's all. But don't confuse who you are with the results that you produce.
It's impossible for you to have continuous success without having self-discipline in your life. And my greatest challenge as a leader is your greatest challenge as a leader. And that is every day keeping people climbing. Because they don't want to climb. They want to coast to success. They want it to come to them. And they just kind of hope that if they're at the right place at the right time, something wonderful will happen to them. It won't.
When you still carry your history, you are afraid of success because you may lose your friends who ain't going nowhere. Very subtle problems. Your attitude is so powerful. It creates your atmosphere. It also is a source of your natural lifestyle. And if you're going to change your life, you got to change your attitude. Now here's the bottom line. Your belief system is the source of your attitude.
I got better. I got better day by day and week by week and month by month, and I'm asking you to do the same thing until you can develop influence that won't quit. Touch people next year you couldn't touch this year. Heart and soul now mixed in there that wasn't theirs, missing before. I'm asking all of you to get better in spite of the winters, in spite of the downturn. Just get stronger. Get better. We've all got those personal winters.
Be careful how you think. Your life is shaped by your thoughts. People say, well, I was just thinking it. Well, you don't realize how important the thought is. The power of your mind, the power of your thoughts has tremendous ability to shape your life for good or for bad. And if you accept the thought, if growing up somebody said to you, you're worthless, you're no good, you don't matter. If you accepted that fact, whether it was right or wrong, it shaped your life.
Spring is not a guarantee of a harvest in the fall and the autumn. Harvest on. Here's what you must learn to do. Take advantage. Take advantage of the spring. Don't just be faked out by the spring because the nice weather has come and the winter's finally passed, the spring is here. I'm telling you that's not going to do it for you. Just because the spring is here, it's not going to do it for you. You got to seize it with your own two hands. Opportunity mixed with challenge. It's opportunity mixed with difficulty. We've got a chance to grow like never before, but I'm telling you, there's going to be many enemies that's going to try to prevent us. As soon as you plant the garden, the busy bugs and the noxious weeds are out to take it, and you've got to learn not only to nourish your values, you've got to learn to do battle with your enemies.
The other thing that you have to learn is when you hold on to your history, you do it at the expense of your destiny. When you consider you cannot give energy, but in so many directions, that you are a limited resource. And if you're gonna spend all that energy energizing where you've been, then you're not gonna have the fuel and the fire and the tenacity and the aggressiveness that you need to energize where you're going. Women are taught to think that it is powerful to hold people hostage with what they did wrong, that that's your power, that's how you get back. No, I didn't forget it, and I'm strong and I'm tough. But it takes more strength to forgive than it does to be vengeful and angry. And the worst part about it is, I really believe that forgiveness does not exonerate the perpetrator. It does not justify their behavior. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself because you let it go so that you are available to be your highest and best self, and because you are saying that it is not stronger than me. I disconnect from it as a sign that I am in control of it, and it is not in control of me. It has been my philosophy. If I had held on to all the things that happened to me in my childhood and in my life, I wouldn't be standing here today. I had to realize that when you rehearse those visions and images, you empower them. You actually enshrine them. I decided to cast down the idols of my history and to embrace the possibilities of my destiny so that I was available when God's roll call was made. Are you present and available for what I want to do in your life right now? My hands are free. Here I am. Pick me. I'm ready to go.
Forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could be any different. I think for myself, and I know many of you, you think forgiving means accepting what has happened to you. Well, it is accepting that it has happened to you. Not accepting that it was okay for it to happen. It is accepting that it has happened, and now what do I do about it? Forgiving is giving up the hope, not holding on, hoping, wishing that it could have been any other way than it actually was. Giving up the hope that the past could be any different. And when I got that, I think it took me to the next level of being a better person, because I don't hold grudges for anything or any situation, and neither should you. It's letting go so that the past does not hold you prisoner, does not hold you hostage. This truth has been fundamental in allowing me to live my best life. It was transformative. You have to come to the realization that what might have been is not what is. Easy to hear, I know, and harder to do. You can accept or reject the way you are treated by other people, but until you heal the wounds of your past, you will continue to bleed. You can bandage the bleeding with food, with alcohol, with drugs, with work, with cigarettes, with sex, she said, but eventually it's gonna ooze through and stain your life. You must find the strength to open up the wounds, stick your hands inside, pull out the core of the pain that is holding you in your past, the memories, and make peace with them. So here's the formula. Accept what has happened. Forgive others. Forgive yourself. Accept the now. That is the recipe to begin healing. And give up the hope that the past could have been anything other than what it actually was. Whatever happened, help to make you, you. I challenge you to think about and to ask yourself, where do you need forgiveness in your own life? What resentment are you holding on to that in turn is holding you back? My hope is that you find the courage to relinquish all your grudges, because what I do know for sure is that on the other side of forgiveness is the freedom to live the life for which you were intended and the one you actually deserve.
Forgiveness of yourself and of others will release you from the prison of the past. Thoughts of bitterness cannot create joy. No matter how justified you feel you are, no matter what they did, if you insist on holding on to the past, then you will never be free. Forgiveness is a tricky and confusing concept for many people. There is a difference between forgiveness and acceptance. Forgiving someone does not mean that you condone their behavior. It really has nothing to do with the other person. The reality of true forgiveness lies in setting ourselves free from holding on to the pain. When you do not flow freely with life in the present moment, it usually means you are holding on to a past moment. Only in the present moment can you create your future. If you are holding on to the past, you cannot be in the present. It is only in this now moment that your thoughts and words are powerful. So you really don't want to waste your current thoughts to continue to create your future from the garbage of the past. When you blame another, you give your own power away because you are placing the responsibility for your feelings on someone else. People in our lives may behave in ways that trigger uncomfortable responses in us. However, they did not get into our minds and create the buttons that have been pushed. Taking responsibility for our own feelings and reactions is mastering our ability to respond. In other words, we learn to consciously choose rather than simply react.
The person you were in the past is a different person than you are today. The person you are today wouldn't do those things because you now have wisdom, you have hindsight, you have intelligence, you understand consequences. So the person you are today is a different person from the person you were back then. So don't keep beating yourself up because that other person, another person, did something that today you disapprove of. All right? Just let yourself go. Let yourself off the hook. And when you let it all go, it's almost like a huge burden off your back. You just forgive everybody and you forgive everything, and on a go-forward basis, you just forgive everybody. You don't have any negativities at all. No negativity toward anybody. You're just a positive person. And if you'll do that, if you accept responsibility, like yourself, and forgive everyone else, you become a truly superior person. Most amazing darn thing.